It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello everyone, welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Baseball Talk, Illinois style. Right?
We're here.
I'm joined by the man from Illinois. He says it's the good side.
I don't want to get in trouble, but yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Diego
Diego Solares from Scout Connect. Diego, thanks for coming in, man.
You got it, man.
Always. I like this part of it. We're working towards getting over, it's playoff baseball. This is the fun part of the season where, you never know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And he had shot me a text where he goes, I told you. I love that part of it because,
I felt good about that one.
I can't do that because all of mine are like, oh, I didn't get that right at all.
I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible.
I'll tell you, it's interesting watching high school baseball playoff baseball because of the single elimination.
Yeah. Some
guy gets on the mound that you may not see, maybe even throwing 62 miles an hour, and you just are whiffing everything, man.
Yeah. It's tough because Illinois is all single. Obviously, Missouri is different this year with the quarterfinals and whatnot, but Illinois is all single elimination. So, there have been several examples of state champion teams that have gone into the postseason and, 7 seeds, 8 seeds, 5. Like last year, Crystal Lake Central, shout out to Fox Valley. That's where I'm from. They won the 3A state title last year if they were at 500, they were either at 500, they were a game above 500. I think they were below. It just got hot, man.
Yeah.
They won the whole thing. A couple years ago, I think it was 2023, Plainfield East, and Plainfield had a stretch there where they were winning. Like Plainfield North won the state title in 2018. Plainfield East went into the playoffs with I believe a sub 500 record at Class 4A, so the highest class. And they had two arms, Brady Locke, who is at Florida State, or was at Florida State. I don't know if he's still there. And Christian Michelle, who was at Central Michigan and then went with that coaching staff over to Cincinnati. And those two guys, they won them a state title, basically. Just two dudes ping-ponging back and forth on the mound all the way through, ran through everybody as like a 7 or 8 seed to a state championship. So it's single elimination. It's tough. Obviously, the team that wins the state title at the end of the year, they're the champion, right?
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean in this playoff format that was the best team.
I agree.
And it's tough because how do you, yes, the team won it. They're on top, right? They're the best. But it just is all about who gets hot and who doesn't.
And especially the way playoff formats are laid out in Illinois, I think it's the same on both. I think it's the same in a lot of states where you could rely on one pitcher, maybe a second, if you have 3 guys.
Oh, yeah.
The way it's stretched out, if you've got those guys, you can get through a whole tournament.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pitching wins in the playoffs.
Yep.
And I think it goes a little bit further than pitching. Pitching wins in the playoffs. Older pitching typically tends to win in the playoffs.
Agreed.
Guys that have been there before and done it because, you could be super talented, but there is something to be said about getting on a mound in a game that matters. It's going to be intense the whole time. Some of these smaller schools, there's 500 people at those. I wasn't at the game, but I can only imagine how many people were at that Francis Howell Zumwalt West game.
Oh, it was a lot. I was there. It was crowded.
Get up there and throw well, man, that's tough.
And that's the toughest thing for me. And I know, Francis Howell Central, their facility is great. They just upgraded, and I think it's great and all that. But the tough thing is, as many folks were there, some of these high school baseball fields and setups, they're not meant for that many. They're not meant for that many people.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, and it makes like that environment even more. Like we went to state my senior year. We finished runner-ups. And I didn't play. Like, I was a reliever, a back end guy that never got any innings. But I remember we started the game, and they play the state championships at Joliet, which is the home of the Joliet Slammers. So it's very similar to Carshield or GCS over in Illinois. And we started the game, and I walked up to, they were doing the announcements for the national anthem, and I walked up to the foul line, and I turned around and saw how many people were there, and like my heart kind of sank a little bit. And and that's at a professional stadium. Like, imagine that many people at a high school game that's like this, like, it's not meant to hold that many people. That atmosphere is crazy, man. So kind of tying back to it, like, you got to have dudes that can not only get guys out, but can get guys out in a high pressure situation. And it takes more than just talent to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
You got to have something up top to be able to do that.
I agree. So where are we starting today, man?
We're fully in the thick of it here for 1A, 2A. Regional play is done. So we're on the sectionals here. The 3A, 4A all starts today. Most of the 3A, 4A the regional semifinals are today.
So regional finals are over.
In 1A, 2A, yep.
In 1 and 2A. And so then it goes to a sectional.
Yeah, so our next step would be a sectional semi.
Okay.
So it's 4 teams now. So, like, we took this whole bracket and we took it to 4 teams.
Gotcha.
They play in a sectional semi today. They're all today. And then the winners of those 2 games, usually they double up. So they'll play a game at 4 and a game at 6:30 at the same field.
Yep.
And then the winners of those games will play on Saturday for a sectional championship. And then whoever wins, so there's 8 sectionals. And whoever wins those 8 sectionals, they will then play a quarterfinal round. The winner of that's called the super sectional. And then then we'll go from 8 teams to 4 teams. That's your final 4.
So how are the sectional host fields determined?
It's almost always, to me, I'm pretty sure this is how it is in 1A, 2A. There's 2 things. You either have to have turf and you have to have lights.
Gotcha.
So if you don't have a turf field, you have to have lights. Because they want to play the games on Wednesdays. They want to play them at the same spot. So you have to be a 4 and a 6:30.
So the Chicago sectional, that's where at Hope Academy, it says that's the name of each one of these. That's what it is, correct?
Yes, that's the location of where it's played at. Yep.
Gotcha.
Of where the sectional semifinal and sectional championship is played at.
Beecher.
It has nothing to do, like, sometimes it lines up to where the top seed is also hosting the sectional, but the name of the sectional has nothing to do with who the best team is or who the 1 seed is or whatnot. Like, it's all about where
it's just where they're playing the sectional,
where they're going to play the sectional semis and the sectional championship.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So, well, I guess we're going to Arcola.
We'll start at Arcola. I mean, first real upset here at the top side of the bracket. So how this is determined is they take the sectional and they break them off into 2 individual brackets called a subsectional inside of the sectional itself. And then the winners of their individual regionals, they play in the sectional semi. Then we get the sectional championship like we just talked about.
Now, sorry,
but
I want to understand, and if there are people out there, I'm sure, because I think it's –
But before you keep going, it is highly confusing how they do this. Like, if they just did it how Missouri does it, where it's like, hey, here's your 8 teams, districts, boom, the winners, they play. Like, everybody, I think, would be off way better. So, like, the whole explanation process, like, it confuses me still.
Is the sectional championship, is that 8, the final 8?
It would technically be the final 16.
Oh, so that's still 16
because
teams in the sectional championship.
Because there's 8 sectionals.
Oh, wow.
So when those are over, then it's 8. Then that goes to 4, and then those 4 go to state.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think it's 7 games. You have to win 7 games to win a state title.
So don't make it easy on you.
No.
Okay.
Now, they do a good job of spacing it out. So you have, like, the Wednesday guy in the regional will throw the Wednesday of the sectional, and then that guy maybe can pitch in the super sectional, and then state's a Friday, Saturday. So, like, they do a good job of giving enough time for it. But, yeah, you have to win 2 regional games, 2 sectional games, a super sectional, and then 2 state games to win a state title.
So just looking at this, I'm curious, and I know we'll get to this, but I think this is, for me, it's educational.
Sure, yeah.
And I hope it is for folks watching too, because I think there's a lot of probably parents out there that don't know what's going on, right?
Oh, yeah.
With the playoff
it's
system.
tough to read.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at how many teams are in Class 1?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Is
So there's 8 sectionals in all 4 classes.
Okay.
And each subsectional, depending, I think there are some 4A and 3A ones that have 16 teams, but I think most of the ones in 1A, and I don't know this for a fact, so I'm just throwing it out there.
Sure.
I think it's like 10 per sub, so there's got to be like 80 or 100 teams.
Wow.
In 1A,
Wow.
and then 2A and 3A and 4A. I'm sure 3A and 4A have more. I mean, there's a ton of people in Illinois.
Yeah.
It's a highly populated state, and I mean, Chicago alone has a ton of schools. Most of the 1A, 2A schools are in central and southern Illinois, and it's very similar to how Missouri does it by how many people go to your school. So, I mean, they're all pretty big.
Gotcha.
They're all pretty big.
Okay. All right. We're back to Arcola.
Yeah, so the top seed, Gibson City, Melvin Sibley, we touched on them last week. They went to state last year. They won their regional, so they'll play Mount Pulaski in the sectional semi tonight at Arcola. Mount Pulaski was a team we touched on last week, too. They're not inside of our coverage map. They're just outside of it. I would think next year when we kind of continue to bump up towards more of the middle part of the state, they will be in it. They've got 2 good players in Chance Payne and Luke Martin. Chance Payne's going to Lakeland, and Luke Martin's an uncommitted junior that both threw really well for them. So that should be a great game. I mean,
that's 1-2 right there.
Yeah, a team that went to state last year versus a team that has like 26 or 27 wins this year should be a good one over at Arcola. Kind of the first real big upset. And I'm no disrespect here to Argenta Oriana, who won. They beat the top seed Arcola 1-0. I don't know where that school is. I'm not familiar with them, but 4 seed, they won. That was the first time Arcola lost all spring. I think they went into the playoffs at 22-0, and they lost 1-0. So it kind of seems like it was a coin flip type game there. And then Salt Fork. We kind of touched on Armstrong last week. They had a big arm and Traxton Roberts. Salt Fork won that game 2-0. So we'll have a 4 seed and a 2 seed duking it out here in the sectional championship. For me, I would probably say the winner of that Gibson City Melvin Sibley game and Mount Pulaski, they will win this sectional and kind of make their way back. Where we got? It's just outside Decatur.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's
Argenta Oriana, probably a school of 80 kids. It probably is, but good for them that they captured a regional title.
Love that.
We'll go down to Altamont next. This one was full of upsets. So the top seed, Stewartson Strasburg, they lost to Nokomis, the 4 seed, 3-1. So Nokomis takes their regional as the 4 seed. On the other side of that subsectional, we had a 6 seed and a 5 seed playing each other. And Casey Westfield, the 5 seed, beat Diederich, the 4 seed, 5-4. So Nokomis and Casey Westfield will battle it out. Casey Westfield's kind of on a heater here because they beat Altamont 4-2 in the regional semi. So, I mean, talk about a team getting hot. And then another one here. I mean, 2 upsets. Both of the top 2 seeds on the bottom side of this subsectional lost. Farina South Central is a team that's got a little bit of history behind them. It's a very predominant football school. They're pretty good every year in football.
So all the football players can play baseball.
I'm going to guess a good amount of those kids play baseball. They went to state, or they either made a super deep run like 3 or 4 years ago, and they beat North Clay, the 1 seed. They beat Jack Compton, who is North Clay's best arm. They beat him 4-2. So the 1 seed's out there. And then the bottom side of this bracket, Pawnee, the 3 seed, they beat Neoga 14-1. Pawnee,
that's a beatdown.
That's not a close game. And Pawnee has had some good players come out of there. They have a catcher. His first name is Luke. This is kind of embarrassing that I'm blanking on his name. He's a really good player. Mm-hmm. He's a senior. So we got all basically no number 1 seeds, no number 2 seeds, all 3 and 4 seeds, even a 5 seed. Someone's going to win this sectional.
I think that's interesting.
It's in, yeah. I mean, it's just a classic example of maybe it's the right matchup.
Yeah.
or it's a team got hot.
Yeah.
And they're doing it at the right time. So I don't even have a clue who's going to win that one. I'll be totally honest with you. The Cobden, yeah, the Cobden sectional, which is the one underneath it. This was the total opposite. All the 1 and 2 seeds won, and basically outside of one game, they weren't really close. Waltonville, the top seed, the Spartans, they beat Trico 6-1. Brandon Menser, their top arm, going to Cincinnati. He shoved. I think it was 6 2/3, 1 hit, 1 run, like 8 or 9 strikeouts to win that game for them. They'll face Hardin County, who is always pretty competitive. Here's where it's interesting to me, is Waltonville saved their best guy for the regional final, which traditionally, you would expect them to do, especially because they won their first game 13-0. And their coaching staff must have felt that they had to throw Brandon Menser to win that game. But now here's kind of where your depth gets tested, because he will not be able to pitch in today's game since he threw on Saturday, right, because of pitch count rules.
Right.
So they'll have to go to their number 2, who I'm not super familiar with. And Hardin County is not going to be a tough out. Now, if they were to win this game today and advance to the sectional championship, then they will have Brandon Menser for Saturday, which would give them a trump card of sorts, because he will be the best arm in that game. He's probably the best arm in 1A, to be honest with you. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then on the bottom side of this bracket, we talked about this last week, but kind of how we expected it to turn out. Goreville beats Gallatin County 11-0. They're the favorite for me. I mean, we had them in the rankings to end the season. Again, a team that's got some history behind it. They've been to state. I think they went to state like 2 years ago. They'll play Steelville, who beat Galatia 10-2. I'll take Goreville on that one. I would love to see a Brandon Menser versus Goreville matchup on Saturday. I hope that comes to fruition. Nothing against Hardin County or Galatia. That's probably where I'll go if they play on Saturday. If Menser throws against Goreville, because that'll be a really good game.
Are either one of these teams, are they state contenders? Opportunity.
I think Goreville is.
Yeah.
Waltonville, when Menser's on the mound, yes, he can't throw every game.
Sure.
They would have to. So if he throws on, like, let's say they win, right? Hypothetically, they win tonight. He throws on Saturday, then they would have to turn around and play on Monday again. The super sectional is on Monday.
Oh, wow.
So they wouldn't have the guy that throws today, presumably, right?
Sure.
And they wouldn't have their best guy. So now you're relying on your third arm. In 1A, it's tough to do.
I agree.
I know Goreville's got guys that can go Monday. I know that they have more than 1 or 2 guys on that pitching staff.
They're just deeper.
Yeah, they always are. Always are. They've always been that way. They play like a bend don't break style, where they don't have any superstars. It's just a bunch of probably multi-sport guys that don't make mistakes. Very similarly to kind of Zumwalt West has been in the past.
Gotcha.
Obviously, they've had some stars, right? But a large chunk of the team just being a bunch of
just
gritty
dudes,
grinder guys,
yeah.
like Nick Alagna types that can run, that can defend, that can bunt. That's Goreville. So I think they could very much win the state title. Waltonville, maybe not so much.
Even over a Father McGivney.
Well, we'll talk about them right now. I think I've made it fairly clear. Father McGivney is my pick to win it. They took care of business against Carrollton, 12-0. We did talk about this last week. If there's going to be a team that's going to give them trouble, watch out for Christ Our Rock Lutheran. They won their regional title 11-3 over a good Marissa team. McGivney swept them in the regular season. They play in the same conference, so they've already beaten them twice. But it's always hard to beat a team 3 times. It's a conference foe, which is never fun to play because you're playing against a team that knows you and is familiar with you. And last year, the only team out – so McGivney lost in the super sectional last year. They lost to Route Catholic. And I'm not going to take anything away from Route Catholic because they won that game.
Sure.
I was there. Father McGivney had like 15 chances to win the game, and they just didn't. There was a Drew Kleinheider, their senior, going to SLU, hit a line drive, and the left fielder for Route Catholic took a bad read on it, and he dove, and he kind of stuck his glove out there, and he caught it. And 99% of the time, that ball's not caught, and that would have been the walk-off hit and sent them to state. So, but outside of that game, which they actually lost, nobody played them tougher all year than Christ Our Rock Lutheran did. And that'll be a good game. It's not going to be a rollover. If McGivney comes out and just beats them 10-0, then I'll be really impressed. And I would say that no one's going to stop them.
Okay.
On the backside of this bracket, though, again, here's where it gets really interesting. We talked about Jabot Catholic last week, how every single year they go into the postseason with a really not great record. It's not super good to the eyes. It's not sexy, but they do it on purpose.
Here they are. Right?
And here they are, regional champions. As a 4 seed, they will play against Calhoun, who is a good team. Calhoun's got some good wins this year. They've got 2 good arms. Zach Zipprich leading the way for them there. That'll be a great game. I'll take Waterloo. I'll take Jabot Catholic. And by the way, if they play McGivney, I would expect that to be a tough game too, because that's what they do. That's their brand of baseball.
So McGivney's it's not
going to be easy for them, and we'll talk about here. I just want to double check this before we go on. I'm trying to see who. So if McGivney was to win their sectional, right, they would turn around and play the winner of the Jacksonville sectional on Monday. And we didn't talk about the Jacksonville sectional last week. It's the very bottom one here on the 1A page, just because most of these teams
are further north
and further west.
Gotcha.
Like more toward, like Jacksonville is kind of getting closer to that Quincy area. It's probably like 40 minutes away from Quincy. Sure. But the one team that does fall inside of our coverage area is Route Catholic, who's at the very bottom part of the bracket here. They went to state last year. Now, they did lose several key pieces from that team. They lost Conrad Charpentier, who's at Lincoln Land Community College, was their best arm. They lost Nolan Turner, who was their shortstop and one of their best hitters. They lost Isaac Long, I think is his name, who's at John Wood Community College. They had a center fielder, Brian Mossman, who's a really good football player that stopped playing. They lost A.J. Charpentier, who just decided to not go. He's a really good golfer. And Jacksonville High School, the public school, is known for their golf. So he decided to go there instead of coming back to Route Catholic. So they lost a lot, but they still have a ton of good pieces. They got Brady Turner there, who's the head coach's son, left-handed arm. They've got Jace Lauderman, an outfielder, left-handed hitter, hits leadoff for them. They've got Talon Thompson, their catcher. Eli Olson, who's a senior, going to play football at North Central College, which is a D3 powerhouse. So they are very well equipped to win this sectional, and especially because the number 1 seed Monmouth United got bounced. So if they were to match up with McGivney again, assuming both teams win their sectional, it's not an easy path for anybody, especially if McGivney has to go through Christ-Our Rock. They have to go through, presumably, either Jabot Catholic or Calhoun. Both will be tough. Like, it's not going to be easy for them, even though I think they are unquestionably the best team in 1A.
Right. But it's 3 teams that can beat you.
And by the way, too, like, again, we're just talking in hypotheticals here, but assuming they make it to state, I mean, they'll have to go through Goreville or Waltonville. And looking on the Chicago side, just because I'm kind of familiar with some of these teams, like Harvest Christian is always good. They have several highly talented players on their team. Ottawa Marquette won the state title last year, and they're 30-3.
Jeez.
And look like they're going to have no trouble getting back there. So, like, it's whoever wins 1A, they're going to earn it. And I won't be there at the state championships. I'll have somebody there for Scout Connect covering it. It's actually not in Peoria this year because of a scheduling conflict with the Peoria Chiefs. So they're doing it at the University of Illinois, which will be cool and actually closer. So it's going to be a battle, and I'm kind of pumped for it because the one, like, for us down here with what we do and kind of the Metro East and whatnot, like, most of the schools that fall within our coverage area are 1A, 2A. Obviously, all of the 4A schools are the Southwestern Conference schools. And then the 3A schools, there's a lot of them, right? But predominantly it's 1A and 2A schools. And I think the biggest takeaway is that the baseball is really good.
Yeah.
It's just because they're smaller, just because, it's rural farm towns for the most part. Like, their baseball is still really good.
Yeah.
And they come to play.
Yep.
And most of them are public schools too. So
you have those juggernauts on both sides of the state in that Class 1.
Oh yeah.
Class 2.
Oh yeah.
And they're there, and they're really good baseball teams. We were talking about Oran over in Missouri.
Yeah.
And they are They got 3 guys going.
They got going to SEMA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And it's like they just will. They'll beat most
for sure.
most teams in the state.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Kennett was kind of the same way when
Right.
when Reese Robinette was there. Like they could beat anybody on any given day. Like it just
It
because
happens.
just because they're smaller doesn't mean that they're automatically worse.
And I think that's on both sides. And like you said, you see more of it on the Illinois side because of the southern
Yeah.
the population.
Yep.
It's different than what we have on the
In
Missouri
St. Louis.
side.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I think and I like the dynamic because to me, when you talk about, I think the smaller classes, 1A, 2A, you have to have those guys. I think the baseball's different. You're not relying on depth as much. You can't
You
in
can't.
a lot
You
of
just don't have
respects.
enough. Yeah.
You have to rely on the ability of guys that just play hard, grit, play without mistakes. It's a different brand of baseball. And I think it can be very interesting. Personally, that's just my opinion.
I also think too, like just sitting here like thinking about it, the teams that have won the state title in 1A and 2A the last 4 years, every single team had a dude on it. And like, yes, I think the reason for that is, one, obviously talent is going to win out most of the time.
Agreed.
But two, when you're playing against a group of teams that you all don't have a whole lot of depth, right?
Right.
You're all the same classification, which means that population-wise, the school, you don't have as many people. Now, that doesn't mean that, like, one school could have 90 kids, one school could have 90 kids. School 1 has 10 baseball players. School 2 has 25, just because that's how the town is or the culture or whatnot. But, like, I'm just thinking back to the teams that have won the 1A and the 2A state title, especially in 2A, like, there are dudes, like, leading the way for them. Like, Joliet Catholic had a run, and it's a private school, so it's different. And it's a private school in Chicago, which makes it way different because they can pick from a pretty large area.
Right.
But, like, they had TJ Schlageter, who went to Louisville. They had Trace Radersky, who went to Louisville, then went to Johnny Logan, was an All-American there, and now he's going to Purdue. Columbia down here. I mean, they had a public school in Southern Illinois had Dominic Vagley, who was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year last year and will probably be a first-rounder next year. North Clay, when they won it in 23, had like 10 dudes on their team. Like, the whole roster was seniors, and every single one of them was good. Ottawa Marquette last year, they had Alec Novotny, who's there again this year. He's a stud. He's a shortstop, but also can really pitch. When they won it a couple years ago, they had Taylor Waldron, who went to John A. Logan and now is going to Jacksonville State. Like, these are small towns, but, like, it still takes – you got to have a guy.
Yeah.
And I think when you're looking at it, like, okay, making my predictions, who's going to win? And we could talk about this with 2A because some of the upsets were caused by a team that had a dude on the mound, especially. You still got to have some talent. I think, like, the grit and grind, while I love it, I love, like, the guerrilla-style baseball, the bunt, the run, the put pressure on you. At the end of the day, the teams that go far, it's probably because they have a couple dudes.
Gotcha.
They got some talent.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of talent, the Decatur sectional here in 2A, the one that, kind of one of the games we talked about last week was Monticello and Maroa Forsyth, because Maroa Forsyth bounced Monticello last year. Well, the Sages got their revenge because they won 5-0. They're going on to the sectional semifinal, and we're talking about dudes. Their guy, Ike Young, going to Illinois, complete game shutout, 9 tickets. I think he gave up 2 hits, walked 1. I wasn't there, but, man, pretty impressive stat line against a good team.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. No. The 9 tickets.
You're punching tickets, man.
I love that.
You're punching tickets. They will play against, Bismarck. Not familiar, but good for them because they beat the 2-seed Westville 4-3. So they'll play tonight, later today at Decatur. Here's where it gets really interesting to me. I think if you asked anybody that follows Illinois high school baseball closely, whoever it is, whatever company, whatever entity it is, they would have had St. Joe Ogden winning the regional because, I mean, that team was really good. They're super talented. They're deep. They always win. They have a tradition of winning behind them. They lost to the 3 seed Tolono Unity, so shout out to those guys. And they lost 8-3. So not particularly a very close baseball game. So that is one of the biggest upsets probably in all of 2A is St. Joseph Ogden winning or losing that game. So now Tolono, who's obviously hot, right? They won their first game 12-2. They just beat the 1 seed and probably one of the 3 or 4 best 2A teams 8-3. They will match up against Normal U High, who won 4-0 against Prairie Central, the 11th seed. That should be a good game. U High, it's a private school just outside of Bloomington. They're super talented. They're always good. And they're going to match up against a Tolono Unity club that's feeling it right now. And the winner of that game is probably nothing against Bismarck, but I'm going to go ahead and take Monticello, the 1 seed, to win that game. The winner of that game is probably going to get Ike Young on Saturday, which should be a doozy for the sectional championship game. Bumping on down to the Pleasant Plains sectional, the one right below it. We got Pleasant Plains beating Pittsfield 4-0. They will host because they have turf and lights. It's a beautiful field in the middle of absolutely nothing, so it's even better.
Wow.
They will play against Auburn, who again delivered an upset, beating Litchfield 11-2. I didn't have that going on. Like Litchfield, they went to a super sectional last year. They were fairly old. Their coach, Rocky Giannuzzi, does a great job. Like, it's a co-op school. It's Litchfield and Mount Olive, so it's 2 small towns right up 55, probably 30 minutes outside of Springfield. They co-op together. They don't have a whole lot of resources. They don't have, a ton going for them. He's done a phenomenal job. They went to a super sectional last year and beat some good teams on the way there. But they had some seniors that were kind of leading the charge there. Those guys graduated. I'm excited for this team next year, even though they lost in their regional finals, because most of their group coming back, like all the guys that were their best players this year were all juniors. So they'll come back next year as seniors. So keep an eye out for the Purple Panthers there. But they lost. Auburn will play Pleasant Plains. I love this Pleasant Plains team. They're athletic. They're well coached. They compete. They don't give up ever. They don't have like a guy on the mound. They just have they go 5, 6, 7 dudes deep, and they're all the same. It's all fastball, curveball, changeup, 3 pitches for strikes at any point in time. So I'm going to ride with them because I really like that club. I'll take them to beat Auburn. Here's where the bottom part of this bracket. We talked last week, North Mac, the 1 seed, they beat Southwestern on a walk-off inside the park home run. Kind of rode that momentum into the regional finals to beat Shelbyville 2-0. So they will play against Sacred Heart Griffin, who we've talked about plenty on this podcast. We've had them in the top 10 of our small school rankings all year long. The highest they got was number 2, which is a compliment to them, honestly, because nobody was going to unseat McGivney at number 1. It just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So they got up to number 2. I think they finished the year at number 6 or 7 because they kind of took some lumps down the back half of their schedule. I salute them because they're a 2A private school in Springfield, but they play in the Central State 8, which is a conference mostly made up of 3A schools and some of the better 3A schools in Central Illinois. And they play a tough schedule. Like, they went down and they played O'Fallon. They played Rochester. They played Glenwood. They played Pleasant Plains. So they challenged themselves. And it showed because their ace, Andy Antonacci, who's going to Heartland Community College, threw a complete game no-hitter, struck out like 11 guys against a good Quincy Notre Dame team in the regional final to push them to this game tonight at 7 p.m. at Pleasant Plains against North Mac. I'll take Sacred Heart Griffin in that game, even though North Mac is the top seed. I just think they're a better team. So that will set up a Pleasant Plains Sacred Heart Griffin sectional championship game. Those 2 teams did play earlier this year, and Pleasant Plains beat them. So it'll be kind of a rematch there. That'll be a really good game. And you talk about crowds being at that game.
Right.
And, man.
That's what you want.
Those 2 teams don't like each other. It is the classic. It is the classic. Pleasant Plains High School is legitimately in the middle of nowhere. You have to drive through 7 miles of cornfield to get there. So it is the classic public versus private. We're by each other. It's kind of the same town. There's no love lost there. That will be an awesome baseball game. And selfishly, as a fan of the sport, and a fan of rivalry, I'm nothing against the other teams that are in that path. That's what I'm rooting for.
Right.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
We'll scroll down to DuQuoin here, where we had several upsets, including the one that we talked about on this show last week. Nashville, the number 1 seed, another team. I mean, they were 29-1 going into the playoffs, in our top 10 all year. They fell to DuQuoin 5-4, who was the 4 seed. I struggled with DuQuoin. We were aggressive with them in the preseason rankings. I think I ranked them like 5th in the state to start the year because last year they went 32-4. They went to a super sectional last year, I believe, if not a sectional championship. And they basically took that whole team and just copy and pasted it over to this year. Like all of their key bats are back. Both of their key arms were back. They added Max Zimmerman, who was a freshman last year. He's a sophomore now. Had a great season for them. And they took their lumps during the regular season like they did. They didn't have a very good record. They're 4 seed for a reason. They played a tough schedule, which was predominantly part of the reason why their win-loss wasn't great. They come out, they beat Carterville, who also spent multiple weeks in our rankings in an extra inning game in the regional semi. And they come out and they beat the 1 seed 5-4. So shout out to them. They've got 2 arms that could take them all the way to state, in my opinion. Diedrich Smith, Cy Kraft. Diedrich Smith's a senior going to Rend Lake. Cy Kraft is one of the better sophomore arms in the state. Those 2 guys could take them all the way to the 2A state playoffs. So
there you go.
Now, their path to get there won't be easy because they'll play Harrisburg, who beat the 2 seed Johnson City 4-2 in the regional championship game. Harrisburg, we talked last week again, is a program that's got a ton of history behind it. There have been big leaguers that have come out of Harrisburg. Jay Thompson, their head coach, has been there forever. He's one of the all-time all-time winningest coaches in the history of the IHSA. I think one of 3 guys to have more than 800 wins. They will play each other today at 2 o'clock. Should be a great game. The winner of that game will play in the sectional championship game against 2 tremendous upsets, like two teams that I'll just be straight up. I had no dream that they would be playing in this game. You got West Frankfort, the 10 seed. Now, I don't know how they did this. I'm going to go ahead and guess that whoever seeded this, either this is an example of this team being as hot as humanly possible, or the seeding was just done incorrectly, because they've played 3 games. They won their play-in game 4-1. Then they turn around and beat the 1 seed Metropolis 8-6, and then they beat Vienna, who's got some good wins on the season, 16-6 in the regional championship game.
Both of those ones, the 10 seed, the 6 seed, they pounded
them.
It wasn't close.
I don't know anything about West Frankfort. Kudos to them, man. I mean, 16-6 win in a regional championship game against a good Vienna team. They will play Pinckneyville, who last week I said I believe Ziegler Royalton will win this regional pretty handedly. You got to give some kudos to Pinckneyville here. They won 12-3 in a regional championship game. Not easy to do. And they also, to get there, they beat Redbud, who was having a great year. I think they won like 18-7 and had several good wins over some pretty good 3A schools in the area. So we'll have one of West Frankfort and Pinckneyville will play against either Harrisburg or DuQuoin in a sectional championship game on Saturday.
Scoring 17 total runs, allowing 4.
That's a lot, man.
That's impressive.
That's pretty good.
That's good run differential right there. You're going to win a lot of ball games.
You are not going to lose a lot if you do that. That is correct. And then the last one we'll touch on here in 2A is the monster of all monsters, in my opinion, of a sectional, is the Teutopolis one, which is where I will be at later today. The 1 seed Greenville fell to the 4 seed Breese Central. I think we touched on that last week too. Breese Central, maybe the toughest 4 seed in all of 2A. We had them in the rankings.
So you're not surprised about that?
I'm not. We had them in the rankings the whole season. They were 19-10, I think, 10 the year. So I think they were the 4 seed because of their record. But they're a good group, man. Like they're Breese is a town that is always good. It's a football town. I think we talked about last week kind of how the fans get out for the football games. But they were playing this game at home. They hosted the regional. Greenville had a great season, a great record. I don't want to take anything away from them. But if you look at who those two teams played, one team played a better schedule than the other.
There you go. And that makes a difference. It
makes a difference, 100%. 100%. So Breeze Central will play against Teutopolis, who was the 2 seed. Again, I touched on this in our previous podcast. I can't believe Teutopolis was not the 1 seed in this bracket. They
just beat those guys.
They did, and they are the best team for my money, probably in 2A, from top to bottom.
They outscored 2 opponents 26-0.
Yeah, and nothing
against those guys, but my goodness,
nothing against Newton. I mean, they just ran into a buzzsaw. That should be a great game. T-Town versus Breeze Central. Talk about home field advantage. T-Town is going to host that. I can guarantee you, and it's part of the reason why I'm going.
You got to send me a picture.
I can personally guarantee you the entire town of Teutopolis will be at that game tonight, and it will probably be awesome.
The wooden shoes.
Oh,
man.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Will they all be wearing wooden shoes, you think?
They'll have T-shirts, and I might buy a T-shirt, to be honest with you, if they have them for sale, because I think it's the coolest thing ever. The winner of that game, so the winner of Breeze and T-Town, will play either Effingham or Columbia. Effingham kind of basically did what T-Town did to their competition. They scored 20 runs in 2 games, gave up 0. They will play Columbia, who beat a really good Roxana team, 3-0. Shout out to them because they've kind of been riding. First of all, we've touched on this, how Columbia is a team that I've kind of kept my eyes on the whole season. They went into the playoffs 1 game above 500, but intentionally. Like, they play a really tough schedule. They went into these playoffs riding 2 arms. Sam Donald, who's a 6'8" power forward going to play Division I basketball at Bellarmine, is their number 1 guy, 85-88 with a really good breaking ball on the mound. He shoved against Alton Marquette, and then they turned around and gave the ball to a freshman, Connor Bashinsky, who's been getting it done for them all year long. I think he threw like 40 innings with a sub-2 ERA as a freshman against the schedule they play against. Well, all he did was throw a complete game shutout against Roxana, who is a very good team. He struck out like 8 guys, walked like 1 or 2 or 3 hits, dominated them. And now they're playing here in a sectional semi against the reigning 2A state champions. I think
the one kid, if basketball doesn't work out, he's got something to fall back
on.
And
I think he's going to have that opportunity. There's been some conversations there, potentially about that happening.
Yeah.
The tough thing about this is that there's more than one team in this sectional that could win the state title, but only one of them is going to be able to do it. And it's just kind of how it lines up geographically. It is what it is, you know what I mean? But those should be 2 very good baseball games, and I'm very excited to take them in about 3 hours.
There you go. Boom. So what about Edwardsville? That starts.
So all that starts today. All the 3A, 4A starts today.
And we're basically looking at 4A for the most part, correct? In that with Belleville West and East?
Yeah, so all of the 4A schools in this area in the Metro East that fall in the Scout Connect coverage map, they all play in the Bloomington sectional just because there's only so many of them. Mm-hmm. So Edwardsville will travel to Belleville West as the 1 seed. They will play Granite City. Belleville West, the host, will play tomorrow. They'll play Quincy. Will be interesting, man. Like, nothing against Granite City.
Just so you know, because he's saying tomorrow, we're recording this on Wednesday.
Yeah, so Edwardsville will play Wednesday. Traditionally, they try to play both games on the same day. The problem is Belleville West is the host, and they don't have lights, so they have to play Wednesday, Thursday, which obviously gives the advantage to the top seed because they get an extra day of rest. Edwardsville will beat Granite City. I would call that the upset of the last 5 centuries if they don't. Belleville
5 centuries?
Yeah.
Has baseball been around that long?
Maybe. Belleville West has an arm in John Hilpert that I think will beat Quincy. Here's the interesting thing is, so Belleville West and Edwardsville play in the same conference, and they played both times, and Edwardsville beat them at West when John Hilpert threw. Mm-hmm. But Belleville West has a junior named Chase Benty, who's had a phenomenal season. He's 40-plus innings, sub-2 ERA. he's a 5'8", 140-pound left-hander that throws in the low 70s, but it's a tough look, and he never doubles up on the same pitch, and he throws a million strikes, and he beat Edwardsville when they played earlier in the season. So, I mean, it's tough to beat the Edwardsville Tigers twice, but if he's on the mound and he throws how he's been throwing all season, Belleville West has a shot, and they've already proven that they can beat Edwardsville. Yeah. They're one of 2 teams in the conference to beat them this year. Only them and O'Fallon. So,
and O'Fallon doesn't have an easy.
No. This is why traditionally whoever comes out of this sectional semifinal goes to state, because this is the toughest path. Now, we talked about last week. This year is a little different because the bottom half of the bracket, which is made up of normal like Bloomington area teams, is very strong. Like Minooka's really good. Normal Community is loaded. Like, it could be different this year, but if we're going back to O'Fallon, like they got to play Alton tonight, and Alton is a scrappy, tough, competitive team that has already beaten them this season. That will force O'Fallon to throw their best guy. I believe Connor Blue is throwing tonight, and I would think Reed Murray or Anderson Kaufman will throw for Alton. So like you can't throw off. You got to throw your best dude. Where it could be a little interesting how this plays out, because Belleville East will play Collinsville before that. Mm-hmm. And I think Belleville East will throw off. I think they'll throw Logan Faust, he's a good arm. He's a senior left-hander, like low to mid-80s, has had a great year. Their best guy is Tommy Kramkowski, who's going to Missouri State. He's one of the best arms in the area. Upper 80s, low 90s, tons of strikes, super competitive. Like on the short list of guys I'm giving the ball to if I have to win a baseball game. So, like, you could have a situation where East throws off. Mm-hmm. They win against Collinsville, who's having a down year for their standards. And then now Belleville East, should they win, goes into Saturday's regional championship game with their best guy, while the winner of O'Fallon and Alton has to blow everything they have. And now we're sitting here with Belleville East has their number 1 against maybe a number 2, number 3 for O'Fallon and Alton. And I think in that scenario, O'Fallon's had some injuries on the mound. I would probably give the upper hand to Alton in that game because they just have more depth. They have Reed Murray, who could go the whole game today if they win. They've got Anderson Kaufman, who's one of the better arms in the area, and he's 14 years old. They have Logan Hickman, who's a talented junior that's throwing the ball well for them. So it's going to be interesting how it plays out. And then the winner of that presumably plays against Edwardsville next week in the sectional semifinal. So
interesting.
It's going to be interesting, and there's a ton of interesting. Like,
that's that's some seriously good.
It's a battle. It's a battle, and then like if you go to 3A, like the Troy sectional, we got Mascuda, who's gonna beat East St. Louis. They won't throw their best guy until Saturday, so like they'll play the winner of Waterloo and Freeburg, which are 2 good teams. You got Triad, who will probably beat Jerseyville. Nothing against Jerseyville, just Triad's really good. If they match up against Highland in the regional championship on Saturday, should Highland beat Civic Memorial, that's a rivalry game. It's a conference game. It's Joel Hawkins. Joel Hawkins, who is the head coach at Highland, who's been there forever. Another legendary IHSA coach, has multiple state titles under his belt. This is his last season. He's retiring. So they're going in it with nothing to lose, playing for their guy against Triad. Highland and Triad split this year already, so that could be a great game.
And you've had Triad at number 1.
They're number 2 now.
Number 2 now.
Edwardsville beat them last week, so Edwardsville has to presumably be the number 1.
Sure.
But to be honest with you, it's a 1A, 1B situation. But
because of the difference in class.
Listen, like if we're sitting here on Saturday at 6 p.m. and both Triad and Edwardsville are eliminated, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be like, wow, that's like a shock.
Okay. Right.
Because Belleville West can beat Edwardsville and Highland can beat Triad if the right guy's on the mound. So I just think that's kind of how the playoffs
But
go.
Highland's got to get there.
They got to get there, and I think they will. I think they'll throw Chase Knable, who's their senior lefty going to SWIC. He's done nothing but honestly dominate his entire high school career. He gave up like 6 earned runs last year in 80 innings. Basically led them to state. I would assume he will throw on Wednesday or so tonight. And then Braxton Decker will throw against Triad. And Braxton Decker is super talented. He's going to Eastern Illinois, maybe one of the higher ceiling arms in the area. He struck out 11 guys in 6 2/3 innings and beat Triad a couple weeks ago. Now, beating Triad twice is tough. And they'll be ready for him. I promise you, they'll be ready for him. Yeah. So that'll be a good game. Muscuda against Waterloo or Freeburg will be a good game. Looking forward to it. If Muscuda and Effingham were to match up in a sectional semifinal, that will be an awesome game. I think if Muscuda and Triad play each other in a sectional championship, that will be like the game of all games, because you want to talk about rivalries. Like, those two teams really don't like each other. So we are in for a pretty fun couple of weeks here in Illinois. I'm pumped. This is the best time of the year. It's the best time of the year. It's the most fun time of the year. And then in 2 weeks, it's like, wow, it's all over and there's nothing to do. So that's what we got.
I hope there's something to do.
That's what we got.
We'll do some summer baseball. Right?
Yeah, we got some summer things coming up, some tournaments and all the good things. So
there you go. We'll do what we can.
Oh, yeah.
I hope that you folks are enjoying this. I'm taking this time to get an education in Illinois baseball, and I appreciate you dropping the knowledge.
You got it, man.
Because that's what I'm doing. I'm sitting, listening, and learning as much as I can about who is and who isn't in Illinois baseball, because that's why we're doing this. We want to get to know we're going to be working towards getting more on that side
on
of
the good side.
On the good side.
Drew knows he's from over there.
Oh, mercy. Hey, you know what? I have my sister and all, they go, my nephew and niece go to Maryville.
Okay.
Christian over there, just right down the road from Father Forgive Me.
There you go.
They get beat by them all the time.
They actually just restarted their baseball program. Cody Massey taking that program over. Excited to see what he can do with it. They've got some good young players coming up, and that school's got resources. I think they're going to turf the field in a year. And yeah, I mean, there's no reason why Maryville Christian, given where it's at and the area and the resources the school has, can't be a consistent winner. So shout out to Cody Massey.
There you go. Love that. All right, folks. If you like what it is, hey, put your comments below if you think he's wrong.
I probably will be. I mean, let's just be real.
I'm a known commodity for being wrong.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You're picking the most unpredictable sport there is, and it's a bunch of 16, 17, and 18-year-olds.
That's right.
That could sleep wrong. Their girlfriend breaks up with them. They don't eat lunch. Like, a lot could go wrong.
What did you go?
Granite City. Shout out to Jake Depew too.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like button. Share it out with your friends. We appreciate it. It helps our algorithm. Subscribe. Hit the dinger next to it. It's not a home run, but it is notifications for more episodes just like this. We'll be talking to him. We'll catch up with him next week. We're going to be down in Springfield for the Missouri State Championships, but we're going to make sure we get
hey, you got your district, your Class 5 and your Class 6 lined up. Call your shot. Who you got?
Well, I'll be honest. Class 5, I think it's Vianney.
Yeah, me too.
Although Festus, I think will give him some trouble.
Yeah, I'll take Vianney.
Yeah. I'm taking Summit. I've been on the Summit train for.
I love that Rockwood Summit team.
Yeah,
I love them. They're scrappy. They're competitive. They're well coached.
And again, Dominic is going to give them.
Oh yeah.
A good tussle.
Yep.
Man, I didn't see Camdenton coming.
Me either. That surprised me that they beat Union.
They beat Jeff City and Union.
Yep.
I mean,
that surprised me too.
I was just like, well, okay, Coach Durnan. Hats off to Coach Durnan down there in Camdenton.
Always a winner. Every year they win. I mean, last year they were kind of crushed by injuries, but other than that, every year they've won. So
I'm taking Marshfield.
Okay.
That's tough, right?
Yeah.
There you go. And then in that last one, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head there.
Joplin.
No, that's Class 6.
You're right.
Class 5, I'm trying to remember.
Up here.
I had it up earlier.
Me too. This is bad podcasting on my end. I should have
had
this ready to go before I asked you these questions.
I just popping it off the top of my head here. I'm pulling up.
Class 5, we got Webb City and Platte County.
That's right. I'm taking Platte.
Me too.
Yeah. Platte County, they're just, I think they're loaded. And honestly, I think you could end up seeing Platte and Vianney
State title
in the state title game. I
What
mean,
do you got? Class 6.
Class 6, I'm, in District 1, I'm riding with Jackson.
Me too. Hot at the right time.
Wow.
Hot at the right time. They're old.
Love Coach Roach.
Cooper Rhodes, Peyton Kite, Drew Parsons, Adler Flynn, Keegan Brueggemann. Like, they got a good group.
They do, man.
They got a good
and
group.
they're finding their way at the right time. And, Parkway South, Luke Sullivan pulled a hammy.
If he was throwing,
yeah,
I think it'd be different because I think he would go game 1.
He's not even playing.
I know.
That's tough.
If he was throwing, I would take them because I think they would win game 1, and then you just have to win one of the, like, now you've got 2 cracks to win it.
But it's in Jackson, too.
I think with this, that's an impossible place to win with how crazy. We're talking about atmospheres. Yeah. I'll take Blue Springs South. I mean, shout out to Joplin for making it this far. I don't think anybody saw that.
Nope.
Blue Springs South, like, you get through.
Coach Wiggins is going with Joplin, though.
Yeah.
All the way.
Well, he's a. I'm sure he sees himself a little bit in that in the underdog style. He's just riding with the team that got. Shout out to Dave Wiggins, but he's just riding with the team that got hot.
Yep.
Which, I mean, sometimes it's all it
I think
takes.
South, Blue Springs South.
They're good. They're good.
That's
always
good.
It's a big
Coach
school.
Bear.
So
I'm riding with the Jaguars.
yeah,
Zumwalt West. I think I'll tell you why. I just like Nolan Sissom as a player, as a leader. I think that he's one of the more mature high school players.
I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody, and you're more familiar with Missouri than I am probably at this point. I don't know if there's anybody that if there was a guy on second base and I needed to have
Nolan Sissom.
needed to have a single. Someone has to hit a single to score that run. It's got to be Nolan Sissom.
Because that at bat, to have that at bat, he's got the demeanor, his calmness, he understands. Just talking to him about hitting, this young man understands what he needs to do.
It can be backside, it can be pull side. He's got juice. He's not going to swing and miss. I'd be shocked if he's got more than 5 strikeouts all year.
That's a good question. I'd like to.
I
don't know, but I got to look at that now.
I would take Zumwalt West and I would take Staley over Lee.
Yeah. I think
it's too powerful, man.
DeSmet is getting right. Can they beat Zumwalt West? Yes, they can. They have the talent.
Yep.
But I just don't. I think.
Where is that game at?
It's Friday. Is it DeSmet? They're playing in DeSmet.
All 3 games. Yeah.
Although they got to go to Chaminade because there was for game 2 because of a district scheduling thing with a track meet. So I don't know.
So they're going to play at Chaminade
in game 2.
Good
Yeah,
for them because that feels nice.
Yeah. So. Lee Summit, though, you can't sleep on Lee Summit.
No, they've got Micah Patterson, I believe, goes to Lee Summit. They got the kid going, Rain Williams, going to Central Arkansas. They're having a great year.
I think it's a 3-game. Series. I do think Staley wins out because of the pitching depth.
I just think with the best of 3, the first game, and I'll be curious. Like now this will be something fun to look at in like 5 years, because like. You talk about now that Major League Baseball has the best of 3 for the wild card series.
Yeah.
And however long they've been doing it, the team that wins the first game, I think, has won every series. Like, is a perfect 100%. They win every series because you get 2 cracks now instead of just your back's not against the wall. So I'll be curious to see in like 5 years how often the team that wins the first game of the best of 3 ends up winning the series because of that advantage that you have. And just with Staley, like, if Earlbeck's going game 1, they're probably going to win. I would be shocked if they've lost any of his starts all year. And, oh, by the way, they win that game. Here's Kyle Piercy in game 2. Like, maybe the best game 2 starter in the state. So.
It's just tough. It's an embarrassment. And a first-year coach.
Yeah. I mean,
first-year coach.
First-year coach. In a sense,
I understand.
First year high school coach for them, taking over that program,
and he is. But I've seen coaches that don't know how to handle that kind of talent.
Yeah, and I think the advantage for him was that his son Tavion Josenberger was a very, very talented player, and is in professional baseball now with the Baltimore Orioles. So like, I'm sure he's been around in a semblance of talent.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great
You
job.
got to be able to coach it.
You have to, and like you have talent, you've got egos that get. I mean, it's just the reality of it. Egos that get involved. You got a bunch of dudes, I'm sure, that know/think they're the best player in the room. Anytime they step in there, like you have to be able to manage that. If not, things can go out of control very quickly.
Absolutely, I agree. Though the one that here's the coolest one though. Class 1.
Oh,
Oran and St. Elizabeth.
when did it? When?
On a collision course for the semifinal.
Yep, June 2nd.
Since 2018,
Yeah, I remember you talking about
St. Elizabeth or Oran has won the state championship.
Yep.
These two, that to me, that's the fun one to watch.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, I'd love to get down there. Maybe we will. We'll see what happens. But that's a game,
Someone's got to win it.
right?
Someone's got to win it.
That's the one to me that is as far as the
Class 4 is going to be good too.
Oh, dude, that middle part of that
Sullivan,
bracket,
Blair Oaks, Rogersville, MICDS, Father Tolton.
goodness.
Yeah, it's tough. Because, I mean, Summit Christian lost. If they would have won, you'd throw them in the mix. I mean, Moberly lost to Father Tolton. Benton lost. So now you got, I believe Benton was the runner-up last year, right?
Yep.
They lost to Blair Oaks.
Yep.
So they're out.
And there's Blair Oaks again sitting right there.
Yeah, it's every year. They're like the Edwardsville of Central
Coach
Missouri.
D'Amelia that's the best 15-loss team in the
The
state.
most impressive thing is you lose Will Libbert, and the next year you win a state title. Like, how many teams lose a guy like Will Libbert? Like, he graduates in 2023, and then you turn around in 2024 and you win the whole thing without him.
Not many.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
I agree. Always good, man.
Got it, man.
Always fun.
Always fun.
Diego Solares, follow him. Where can they follow you, buddy?
Twitter or Instagram at Scout Connect, all one word, BB for baseball. Or basketball, maybe one day. There's some good basketball in St. Louis.
Yeah, there is.
So maybe we can grow our roots.
Never can tell. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers
Throw strikes, man. Lots of them, too.
and hitters, get them where they aim. We'll see y'all next time.